It's race week. The wait is finally over, and we get to talk about Formula E and its round six at a brand new circuit, which is in Madrid. And I've tried to set the studio up in the most Madrid Spanish colours I can. And it's one thing I love about doing this show is having the time to actually have a play around and try and get us all in the mood for the race weekend that we are going to experience. With it being a new track as well, we don't know what we're going into. Obviously, we've just come from the doubleheader in Jeddah, which was an absolutely fantastic race weekend for both races. It's really shook up the championship to the point where if this was a bottle of Coke, you wouldn't be opening it. We've had so many position changes, and finally, some of the results that we've been waiting for have come through. Obviously, Sebastian Buemi, Antonio Felix da Costa, and Pascal, I think, did an absolute masterclass. But where are we going this weekend? Well, we're going to Madrid. This is the new circuit. We've tested here in the past. One thing I do want to mention, it's Pepe Marti's home race. Obviously, as a Spanish driver, this is the Spanish race of the season, and let's hope that he gets, spurred on by the fans and that home spirit to push him into hopefully the top six, if not a podium. Realistically, I would say top six is achievable, and especially with home race spirit, it hopefully will push him to get those higher points. The Kiro is a good car. It's just an older powertrain. We talk about this quite a lot with it being an ex-Porsche powertrain. It's not the latest and greatest, but Dan Ticktum and Pepe Marti last race in round 5, I think delivered quite well, both scoring points, which is fantastic. So hopefully Pepe Marti gets that race to really spur him on. This race as well, this is an interesting one. It's a pit boost race. This is the first time, I think, in the ABB Championship that we've ever had a single header as a pit boost. And there hasn't been too much details why. I have two theories. The first one is they're preparing pit boost for Gen 4. They're trying to get it to be quite of a normal thing, and I think the new cars, with them being more powerful, will probably rely on doing a charge stop and not just regenerative braking. That's not been confirmed. That was the first thing that sort of came to my head. The second one is this is an old school circuit. If you look at the layout, there's a lot of high and medium speed corners. Again, is this track just not going to give us a great race without the sort of pit boost stop to give the extra energy to go a decent distance? So I think regen might not be as powerful here due to the circuit layout. So obviously they've got the hairpin, but whether that's actually going to generate a lot of harsh braking to put power back into the battery, I don't know. But that's one thing to mention. It's a pit boost race. Obviously, Pascal Wehrlein swept the floor in the last one. Is he going to do the same again this weekend? Let's talk about it. So, ones to watch, I would say, and we'll go through the points and you'll sort of see why I mean that. But the first ones are definitely Pascal Wehrlein versus Edo Mortara. These guys have got a healthy lead over the others in first and second, and I think as it's only a single header, there's not enough points to really shake it up. But these two are fighting for the leader of the championship. Pascal Wehrlein obviously is one of the GOATs of Formula E, and Edo Mortara has been super consistent this season, and that's why I think that it's going to be a duel between these pair. I think had Brazil not gone the way for Edo Mortara, it would be the other way around. But that's an if, so I'm not going to discount Pascal Wehrlein's performance because he's done superb. But I have been saying since testing that Mahindra looked quick, and this is a very similar track to Valencia, I think. So maybe we will see some speed out of that Mahindra. But I'm not going to discount any of them. I'm really excited to see these two go head to head, and who's going to come out on top, we shall see. Another three drivers to keep an eye out this weekend is Antonio Felix da Costa, Sebastian Buemi, and Jake Dennis. These are three very fast drivers in a bit of a no man's land. You've got the top six and then kind of the rest of the field, and then in between there is them three. So I think they're definitely three to watch, because if they have a good race this weekend, they're going to put themselves into the positions again to be contenders for the championship of season 12. The other two drivers, I think, are the two Brazilians who haven't scored any points yet in this championship. That's Lucas Di Grassi and Felipe Drogovic. I think Drogovic is he's a brilliant driver. He's in an okay car. He's not in a brilliant car, he's in an okay car. And I think that's why he's currently down there. He's been in the midfield quite a lot. So I think hopefully we will see one of these Brazilians get some points. Whether it's one or two, let's just get them on that board so they've scored some points. I think it's going to be harder for Di Grassi because the package he's currently driving, I think, is still behind everybody else. And hopefully when they come into Gen 4, we'll see that Lola really pushing for the midfield where it belongs. Because again, I think they've got some decent drivers. It's just not great to see them down there. So let's have a look at the table. Obviously, Pascal Wehrlein is leading with 68 points. We've got Mortara on 62, and that's why I think that these two are the only ones who really can fight for the lead of the championship this weekend. Because following that, we've got Roland with 49, Cassidy on 48, Evans on 47, and Muller on 45. That sort of like 3rd to 6th is really close. They're separated like literally by 1 point. I wasn't going to mention anyone else because I normally do the top 6, but as Antonio Felix da Costa and Jake Dennis are on 39 points, and Sebastian Buemi, who seems to be on a really good run of form at the moment, on 37, these guys are a stone's throw away from the top 6, which I would say would make them a contender for the Drivers' Championship. I think Mortara and Pascal have got it quite easy at the top, but I think the rest of them are, having a good weekend at another double header, which is Berlin in May. We could see, again, another change for the lead. But we shall see. We'll see how this weekend goes first, and then we'll talk in the pre-show of Berlin, which, of course, is our next doubleheader. But back to this race and where the championship's going to be. Let's have a look at the Teams' Championship. We've got Porsche on 113, followed by Jaguar on 86, Mahindra on 74, Citroën on 58, Envision on 55, and Nissan on 50. Porsche have definitely got it good. They've done fantastic through the whole season with Pascal Wehrlein and Muller both scoring pretty good races. I think Miami was a good one for Muller. We got Pascal in round 4. Porsche are doing what we expect as the last championship constructors as well. They're coming back and they're showing that they are quick. Jaguar were 8th before Jeddah. They are now 2nd. This is something I said. If they can convert some good results, both Antonio Felix da Costa and Mitch Evans look really consistent. And I think that they're going to be dueling Porsche maybe in 3 or 4 races' time for that Constructors' Championship if they keep outperforming Porsche. The rest of them, it's interesting, isn't it? Mahindra, I think Edo Mortara is doing well. Maybe Nick De Vries can pull some points to get them in the same distance as Jaguar to Porsche. Citroën again, John-Eric Verne is definitely one I want to see do better. I think a lot of those points have been scored by Cassidy. Envision, yeah, Buemi's doing well. I think Ericsson's doing okay, but I think he's on the cusp of the points. And then, of course, I think Norman Nato is the one that's not pulling the punches for Nissan. Obviously, Oliver Rowland doing fantastic. Oliver Rowland has scored 49 points. And obviously with Nissan having 50, you can see that Nato's only scored that singular point. So again, and Nissan's a weird one, isn't it? Because Oliver Rowland's a fantastic driver. We call him the Beast from Barnsley because he is an unattainable force. He's fantastic. So to see Nato not being able to pull that car into similar positions is, it's that question of asking, is Oliver Rowland just really good with a rubbish car, or is Nato struggling in the Nissan? So it's one of those that I think is really interesting. I don't normally cover it, but obviously Andretti is on 39, and the Cooper is on 27, and then DS Penske is on 22, and Lola is on 1 point. I don't think they're going to be going for the championship. I think definitely the top, Jag or Mahindra, I think, are the only ones that are going to be fighting Porsche now. I think that championship is going to be really hard to pull back. We're still quite early on in the season, but looking at those and sort of knowing how the drivers are doing and how the results have sat, it's definitely looking like Porsche are going to fight for the win here. They're going to fight to keep that championship. But I think Jag and Mahindra are likely going to catch up, but whether they do, we shall see. Interestingly, though, I think the drivers is still open to the top 6. I think looking at this championship, I know that there's a bit of a 20-point lead between the top 2. That could change this weekend. I still think that I wouldn't be able to predict where it's going. I would love to say my money is hopefully on Edo Mortara. I think he is so consistent at the moment. He really deserves it. But with a person like Pascal, it's a scary one to try and claw back because Pascal is fantastic. And that's it, really. It's probably a bit longer than I was expecting to do race week, but I really have enjoyed doing it. One thing I will throw in that I forgot to mention at the beginning, there is a slight chance it could be a wet weekend. Looking at the Apple weather, this is where I got my my source from. It says a 40% chance of rain on the Friday and a 55% chance of rain on the Sunday. On the Saturday, which the race is on, there's nothing, and in my head it never rains in Spain, so hopefully we won't see it. And wet races in Formula E don't sprinkle that much chaos. They actually kind of Sometimes they can help. Sometimes I find it doesn't help at all. So hopefully we don't get a wet race, because I want to see how this track performs being a classic circuit. And something I mentioned to Cora in my podcast the other day was, like, I wish when we have a new circuit, especially one that's pre-built and not in a city centre, we could hopefully see a potential double header by default, just so we can get to see the race in action, especially with a pit boost and a non-pit boost. We can really see what works for these cars. As it's coming to the end of Gen 3, I don't think they're really too fussed on that, but maybe come Gen 4, any new circuits, can we make a double header? I'm talking to you, Formula E. Can you do that? Because it'd be fantastic to see. So, and that's it really. Let us know down in the comment section below who you're going to be watching this weekend, whether you're a fan of that driver or maybe I've just missed it in the points as an anomaly. Is there somebody that really we should be keeping an eye on to be like, well, they're going to do well this race? But yeah, I'm super excited. Obviously, you guys know the drill. This is the pre-show. We've got the podcast on Wednesday, and then we'll talk about the winners and losers after the race. I'm probably going to do it on Saturday, but I'll let you know in the post section if that changes, just so I get my Sunday back. It's one thing I love about Formula E, chaos weekends. On a single header, it's all done in one day. Don't have to sleep. We know the result the same day of qualifying, which is just an absolute blast. So thanks for watching. If you're new around here, my name is Kyle. I run the Current Lap YouTube channel, and yeah, we will see you as this weekend unfolds. This is the Current Lap.